Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to today's corporate startup pitch event focusing on sustainability. Appreciate you for tuning in this afternoon. My name is Tracy, and I am part of SGInnovate's investments team focusing on corporate engagement. Part of what we do is to provide corporates with access to deep tech startups relevant to their focus areas. Today, we are very excited to have 7 Singapore-based startups to showcase their solutions in sustainable materials, sustainable energy, and sustainable platforms to help shape a greener future. Before we begin, let us welcome our Executive Director of Investments, Mr. Tong Xian Hui, to give us his welcome remarks. Xian Hui, please.
Thanks, Tracy. Good day to everyone, wherever you're watching this from. I'd really like to thank you for taking time to join our corporate startup pitch event brought to you by, as Tracy said, SGInnovate's corporate engagement and community teams. For those of you joining us for the first time, SGInnovate is a government-backed venture fund focusing on emerging technologies, really trying to tackle the biggest problems of the day. And in spite of what's going on around the world, I think we can all agree that sustainability and its impact is one of the biggest challenges that we are facing, as a species today. So while efforts at addressing the 3 Rs, being recycling, reducing, reusing, are critical behavioral changes that need to be incorporated literally into our everyday living, true sustainability really cannot be addressed without identifying alternative, clean and continuous forms of energy solutions to existing hydrocarbon usage. At the same time, materials that we use also need to reflect this pivot away from hydrocarbon-based products. I'm really glad, therefore, today that the pitch event includes startups from both sustainable energy and materials, but also includes solutions to track decarbonization efforts, because tracking and measuring the progress is vital for our progress forward and moving forward. I'm not going to say any more, as I'm really looking forward to hearing from Caroline next. So I'm just going to end my short opening address by wishing you all a great event to come. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much, Xian Hui. Okay, up next, we are very grateful to have Ms. Caroline Guyot, the Managing Director at Engie Factory APAC, which is the venture building arm of Engie Group. Caroline co-founded the factory in 2018 to build and invest in startups with a focus on decarbonization. Caroline has also spent her career working with startups to address various social and environmental issues. She will be sharing valuable insights today on the latest developments in decarbonization and sustainability, and also how corporates can really harness technologies in this space. Caroline, over to you.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me today. So I think, you did all the introduction. Thank you so much. I'm Caroline, Managing Director of Engie Factory. Just a quick word of Engie is really a global company which is focusing on energy distribution and decarbonization services and really trying to lead the energy transition. And myself representing the venture arm of the group in the region, I basically bridge the gap between the corporate, the startup, and the investment ecosystems across APAC. So really trying to leverage the strengths and resources of the corporates to innovate in the energy transition and then collaborate on a day-to-day with startups to make sure that they can grow and scale in the region. So exciting to be talking about this today. I'm gonna share a few slides. Let me make sure this works. You see my slide? Yes? Okay, perfect. So I wanted to start with stepping back a little bit and sharing some perspectives on the future in energy and really the startup innovation patterns that we see, and kicking off first with what could be obvious facts maybe, but the challenge that we're facing is very large. The decarbonizing of the energy sector was responsible for 3/4 of greenhouse gas emission globally, is a very, very big challenge to tackle. And if we want to reach out the net zero carbon targets, then we need to shift 80% of today's energy supply, which is still depending on fossil fuel, essentially. So we have this at the forefront of everything that we do within Engie Factory. We really feel like we need to innovate faster to resolve the climate emergency. Just using a slide actually from a Bloomberg report, which is, I think, quite striking in terms of transitioning the economy from fossil fuel to net zero. A couple of interesting points here is that the world will require an acceleration of clean power. So I think that's already a given, but then this needs to accelerate faster than the current rate, and that's the light blue part. Clean power includes solar, wind, nuclear, hydro, a couple of technologies there. But then what's very interesting is actually the part that's dotted light blue. That's basically all the electrification shift that also needs to happen. So really a conversion to electricity in order to achieve the net zero target is key. And so that's why we believe like converting cars, some industrial processes, everything that can be shifted to electricity basically will matter in terms of achieving the net zero targets. Then there is the green part, which is still the remaining alternative energy sources for anything that can't be converted to energy. So for example, we're talking about industrial processes or heavy industries like the cement industry. Might not be likely that we can use electricity and green grid power for that. The aviation, which is likely to rely heavily on bioenergy sources. And then finally, in that transition mix, we still have a little bit of carbon capture. So solutions and technological enablers for carbon capture storage, as well as nature-based solutions are very important because that will definitely be part of that energy transition. So just wanted to put a bit of a perspective into the fact that when we talk about energy transition, essentially, we're talking in terms of electric transition. So it's about shifting really the systems to more electric solutions, and it requires us to operate completely differently from what we do today. So accelerating the development of clean energy production is key, and it comes with many challenges. But developing new grid infrastructure, decentralized energy systems as well, because the current grid, if we talk about such a big scale in terms of electrification, and actually from one report to another, the numbers vary, but I've seen things like 100 times the current capacity of the grid might be observed in 2050. Then we're really facing different challenges in terms of reliability, intermittency, grid stability, and so on and so forth. Then the next level would be to prepare industries towards the electric conversion. And when it's not possible, find alternative green sources. So still very important to look at the future of hydrogen, the future of green gas, the future of direct air capture as well. All sorts of ways to make sure that we help decarbonize industries. And then I always insist on that last point as well, is addressing the challenge of sourcing raw materials, ensuring circularity and minimizing the environmental impact. Because obviously, if we want to get to net zero, we need to make sure that we've got a clean future. We're going towards a clean future as well. So in order to do this, I see 3 ways to accelerate the energy transition. The first one, which could seem quite obvious, but actually it's going too slow, it's scale up market-ready solutions. So investors, corporate, financiers, everyone needs to understand that we need to invest 5 times more capital and deploy 10 times faster the existing solutions. So it's really still that there is a funding gap there. The second part is deploying business model innovation. So accelerating the adoption of what exists, but also drop the production prices. So some technologies are there, but still too expensive or not produced fast enough. So how can we accelerate that? How can we unlock basically the application of new solutions for customers? And then the last part is really design and innovate in new solutions. So continuing really building new technologies to support that net zero energy system. What we believe in today and in the graph that I show you is obviously the technologies that we're aware of, but maybe new ones will emerge. And we need to continue looking for those and maturing some of the solutions that exist. So in all of this is kind of my segue towards what I know best, which is really the startup ecosystem. So I really feel that startups have a very strong role to play. I was quite alarmed actually recently because the latest PwC report on VC investing in climate tech, which was released, I believe, a couple of weeks ago, was showing like a real drop in climate tech investment this year. So climate tech startup decreased to levels of 2000, even below 2018. So it seems like there's still a long way to go. And then if I were showing you actually that same slide of climate tech investment compared to global investment, it's still very small as well. So I think, still a big role to play in how do we continue to accelerate the solutions, funding the startups. We're working hard to make it happen. So at NG Factory, I think that's where we've found like a good way to basically bridge the gap between the lack of financing for early stage solution, is that we build and invest in climate tech startups in very early stage. So we build new businesses from zero with external funders, where we identify what are the gaps that we see in the energy transition. What do we still need to do in order to achieve those net zero targets? And then build startups basically from scratch, brainstorming and testing the market with entrepreneurs. And then we leverage everything that the corporate has to bring: resources, data, expertise, customers, and then investment, to basically launch the business model and incubate it and fund the pre-seed, which is one part which is still needs a lot of bridge funding in order to be mature enough and proven enough to attract VCs. In the last 3 years, we've been building some ventures in the energy transition. I'm just going to use a couple of examples to explain the approach and illustrate what I meant before. So one, about accelerating existing green energy solutions. For example, Billion Bricks in the Philippines is building solar roofs and solar fields on top of affordable housing in the Philippines. That basically tackles the issue of land acquisition for solar and solar fields, and at the same time offers net zero homes for social homes in the Philippines and connects it to the grid. So all of a sudden, you've got additional land available to put solar and to deploy solar faster. In terms of business model innovation, I'm going to take Phoenix as an example. Phoenix is looking at decarbonizing remote industries, for example, farms in Australia, or fisheries in the Philippines, or eco-lodge in Indonesia, or even mining in Indonesia, who basically don't necessarily have the flexible renewable solution in order to decarbonize, or not an easy access because they're quite far off. And they basically drop containers of solar, battery, and wind. Now they're testing wind. Into a field or grassland and deploy the solar. It comes out of the container in a couple of minutes and then could be folded back on. And one of the innovation is to look at how can they accelerate the scalability of those containers and offer flexible financing as well, so that people don't need to own the asset of solar from day one, but basically have a flexible financing there. So that's very much the business model innovation. And then in terms of deep tech, it's not on this pipeline that I have there, because it takes a little bit longer time. But we're also very much exploring what could be the future of green hydrogen, looking and working with the R&D team in terms of what's ready coming out of the R&D of the group and would be ready to commercialize. And I feel that's also a very, very important mission. So finally, I think this is my last slide, and I leave you with this. But these are the 4 drivers of success for more experience building clean energy startups in APAC. Obviously, there are many more, but I needed to try to be focused on a few key learnings. So first one is really being a thriving ecosystem. So having an active ecosystem here in Singapore, collaboration with the governments, with corporates, with investors and startups and startup funders who can get together in a room and really solve issues, has been a very strong enabler for innovation. So any multi-stakeholder collaborations moves the needle faster. Second one, on the government support, like favorable policies and regulatory environments, as we scale up across Southeast Asia and countries allow new regulations to take place for renewable and all that. It opens up new market opportunities. So that regulatory environment is very key and allows for a faster deployment of solutions. Access to grants as well has been key, especially in the early days where there is a bit of a gap in financing players. Then the entrepreneurial talents. So having people who are bold, want to dream, have capabilities such as resilience, a passion, and a growth mindset is really key for successful startups. So most of our best success have been heavily dependent on the founders behind. And then finally, the risk capital. So the early stage funding is increasingly required to bridge the gap that we see right now to profitability and growth capital. And with the current stage of the VC sector, there is a little bit more risk, less risk appetite, and people might want to get less into early stage funding. So that's where we feel like corporates are very well placed to basically bridge that gap and get involved in really supporting early stage innovations and early stage solutions, which can open up big market opportunities. Okay, I think I will thank you on this. I think that's my 10-15 minutes, and I hope that gives you a few pointers before the great pitches that will be coming up next.
Great. Thank you so much, Caroline, for sharing. Very, very interesting and very insightful sharing. Okay, great. We shall now move into the pitching segment of the event. To our audience, a gentle reminder of today's event format. Each startup will have 5 minutes to pitch. A poll will be launched after every pitch. If you are interested to connect with the startup, please indicate your interest via the poll. There will be no live Q&A at today's event, but feel free to connect with the startups and take the conversation from there. So without further ado, let's get started with the pitches. First up, we have Andre from Nanomatics. Nanomatics upcycles mixed contaminated plastic waste to produce hydrogen and a range of carbon additives for manufacturing. Over to you, Andre, to tell us more.
Thank you, Tracy. Hello, everyone. Nanomatics is a Singapore-based startup. We are addressing one of the largest issues in waste management, plastic waste problem today. Why we're doing this is because today around 90% of plastics are non-recyclable, ending up in incinerators, landfills, or polluting our environment. One of the main reasons why that happens is because it is expensive to collect and process plastic waste, while very often the value of products is too low to justify the processing cost. This year, Nanomatics is about to start operating our first demonstration plant that is going to change that. Once we scale, we aim to process around 20,000 tons of plastic waste. The technology that we use for the plant has advantages in terms of higher value recovery compared to competitive technologies. It is also able to treat hard-to-recycle plastics, and we use proprietary catalyst and machinery to do that. At the core of our innovation is thermo-CVD technology developed at one of the top Asian universities. The technology that can transform each ton of plastic waste into a range of products with market value of around 12,000 Singapore dollars. And this is our main advantage, because the value that we can recover from plastic waste, this is what can make the entire waste treatment profitable. And we use thermal reactors and proprietary processes to produce two high-value products, carbon nanotubes and hydrogen. Hydrogen is a key resource for the decarbonization of economy, and we make this product using waste instead of natural resources. And the second output from the process is carbon nanotubes. This is a key economic driver of technology, making recycling profitable. It's a game-changing material for manufacturing of batteries, construction materials, and consumer goods. To give you some examples of case studies that we conducted so far, it's on the application of this material in engineering polymers, for instance, in polycarbonate, where we see that the performance of nanotubes as an additive is comparable to commercial products made from natural gas. And the advantages are in terms of mechanical strength improvement. Also, the positive results were obtained when this product was used in 3D printing resins as an additives. And then also one of the examples is on the application of carbon nanotubes in rubber foams, for instance, for shoes manufacturing to replace natural fillers like talc or other, and at the same time to achieve improvement in performance of shoes. So because we see very high interest and demand to carbon nanotubes, our beachhead market as a company is specialty chemical companies, so the one that serve batteries, construction, industries, and also in future we will cater to other markets such as to users of low carbon fuels because we have hydrogen, and to plastic waste producers. For that purpose, we build, own, operate our facility for plastic waste recycling, and we do B2B sales through our channel partners in various countries to generate profits. Where we now in terms of funding, as a company, we started in 2021. We are a 2 years old company. In 2022, we got our funding from Temasek Foundation to build our first plant that is currently in the last stage of commissioning. We also got funding from MPA in order to develop a system for application and solving waste problems for maritime industry. And in 2024, we are aiming to have our seed round. And this is an opportunity for investors to join us on our journey to a future without plastic waste. Who are we? We are a team of professionals. We experts in nanotechnology, manufacturing, engineering, sustainability, all the fields that are necessary in order to facilitate and spearhead recycling of plastic into high-value products. And we are not alone on this journey. Currently, we are supported by corporates and philanthropic government organizations, and I believe here we have very good opportunity, and I would love for you to be a part of it. Thank you.
Okay, next up, we have Amit from Greenitio. Greenitio is a clean tech startup developing a platform technology to replace microplastics and polymer ingredients used in the consumer industry with bio-based alternatives. Amit, over to you to share more.
Thanks, Tracy. Hi, everyone. This is Amit. Greenitio is replacing microplastics with natural alternatives. Andrea has covered the plastic pollutions of the world and kind of come up with very nice solutions. But those are macroplastics, so we can choose to recycle them. But imagine the conditions where our daily care products filled with single-use polymeric ingredients or microplastics that cannot be recycled. And 87% of our ready products contain these microplastics. They are ending up environment every day. They're not only polluting our environment, but also endangering human health. Considering that, European Union and US and new regulations has launched, which restricting many of these ingredients coming into our products starting 2027. Because of that, there's a huge demand created in the market. And also a shifting preference to a sustainable alternatives from the consumer. Consumer companies are looking for natural or bio-based alternatives. But the problem is that developing a high-performance polymer substitutes are challenging. some of the existing alternatives that we have today cannot replace a highly engineered synthetic polymers. In terms of their performance and cost, is not matched. Industry looking for solutions, those are highly sustainable, high performance, and the cost is similar to a synthetic polymer alternative. And our existing solution cannot match all three criteria. To solve that particular problem, Greenitio is developing a platform technology to create next generation bio-alternatives. We are using AI-driven design to develop high-performance functional biopolymer produced via biogenic green process, cost-effective and scalable. We are not only helping companies to meet their regulatory challenges, but we are also uplifting their portfolio. Most of our polymers are showing excellent bioactivity and health benefits along with the polymer replacement, which allow companies to offer a premium product at the affordable price, which increase product brand value and market share. So today we are extracting molecules, extracting raw materials from abundant natural resources, mainly the biopolymer that we extract. And today, majority of our competitors or the biopolymer companies are only developing different natural biopolymers. But we know their performance is not up to the mark to replace the synthetic polymers today. To overcome that challenge, we are functionalizing the natural biopolymers with other natural biomolecules available today. Done everything by aquatic process and a biogenic green chemistry, which allow us to develop next generation functional biopolymers that has properties similar to a natural molecule's property, but then additional health benefits that you can offer through this process. So today we have developed several biopolymers derived from mushroom-derived chitosan, from seaweed, and those are already working as an alternative to synthetic moisturizer, emulsifier, thickeners, or many other polymers that are currently used in personal care industry. Along with that, they are also very good, offering very good bioactivities like anti-aging, anti-acne, or antimicrobial properties. Along with our biopolymer portfolio, we are also developed plant-derived amino acid-based biosurfactant and plant protein microcapsules. These molecules are also produced by the same platform technology and also offering unique solutions for cosmetics and home care industries. In the competitive landscape, Greenitio satisfy all the industry's expectations, which is sustainability, bioactivity, economical, scalable, and high-performance alternatives, where our competitors only partially meet all the requirements. In terms of the business model, we are working with mainly two different business models. The first one, we are offering a B2B sales of the product, either directly or through a distributor. And in the second approach, where we work with companies as the R&D consulting projects that we co-develop molecules. And if a customer is coming up with a problem solution, and we represent microplastics or a particular polymer and with no solutions, we can utilize our platform to develop molecules. Today, we are already performing over 10 POCs with personal care and specialty chemical companies. Already have developed 4 biopolymers that are ready to scale up, have generated over $63,000 USD worth of revenue from these POCs and R&D product sales, and 2 patents are ready to file by end of this year. This is our team. Susmita and I are the founders of Greenitio, having more than 10 years of experience in the R&D and product development. Along with, we have a very strong commercial team, from business development, marketing, to manufacturing, to the distribution expertise, can help us contribute to our company's growth. And along with that, we are also partnering with multiple research institutes and other corporates to co-develop our product or make this Greenitio story to be a success. We are also fundraising. So if you wanted to know more about us, and if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. Thank you.
Up next, we have a recording of a pitch done by Shanshan from Circrete. Circrete upcycles waste marine clay into durable green cement, aiming to decarbonize the construction industry and reduce its environmental impact.
Yeah, thanks, Tracy, for the introduction. Maybe a simple apologize because I caught a cough, so I record a video for everyone. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Shanshan, CEO of Circrete. I'm glad to share with you our green cement products made from local waste marine clay. Cement is a key ingredient in concrete and is widely used in almost all types of constructions. But this industry is facing two significant problems. First, the cement industry emits 3 gigatons of CO2 every year, contributing to 8% of global carbon emissions. Second, the construction activities in Singapore excavate more than 10 million tons of waste marine clay annually. This clay is hard to use due to its poor mechanical properties and is expensive to dispose of. So our team came up with this innovation that upcycles this waste marine clay into green cement. Compared with conventional cement production, our innovation requires much less energy and reduces the carbon footprint by up to 70%. At the same time, it helps to transform the large quantities of local waste into green construction materials. So the two significant problems are tackled in one go. The global market for green cement is quite sizable, valued at 41 billion Singapore dollars, and it will continue to grow at an annual growth rate of more than 10%. Our market is targeted at the Asia Pacific region, and our launch market is based at Singapore, estimated around 10 million Singapore dollars. Our business model is B2B and based on our 3 core values. Firstly, we collect the waste marine clay from earthwork companies and charge them a competitive disposal fee. Secondly, we produce green cement for concrete companies and price our cement similarly to the normal or ordinary Portland cement. Thirdly, we contribute to reducing the Scope 3 carbon emission in our customers' ESG reporting due to the less embodied carbon in our product. Compared with other green cement products on the market, such as slag and fly ash, Circrete has comparable performance in terms of strength and durability, but it stands out as a more sustainable option because its raw material is readily abundant both locally and globally. At the global scale, the annual amount available for marine clay, namely the calcined clay, is almost 10 times of slag and fly ash combined. In addition, both slag and fly ash are waste from heavy emission industries facing green transitions. This innovation has generated tremendous traction. It was featured by Channel News Asia in 2021 and received an Excellence Award from Singapore Concrete Institute last year. More importantly, over 20 companies and agencies have approached our team to discuss collaborations. Several of them have expressed interest in using our green cement in their upcoming projects starting from next year. Last but not least, our green cement made from natural calcined clay is ready for the industry to adopt, and it does not require additional approval from BCA because it has been included in the current industry code EN 197 as one of the approved supplementary cementitious materials for partial replacement of the normal OPC. The concrete made with our green cement can be used for both non-structure and structural projects, from roads, curves to buildings and seawalls. Lastly, let's meet our motivated team. I'm Shanshan, CEO of Circrete. We have Professor Pang Zidai as our CTO and Dr. Du Hongjian as our technical advisor. They are also the inventors of this innovation. We also have Mr. Wang Donghai Jerry as our business development manager. In total, we have more than 50 years experience in this industry. We are looking for investors, partners, and customers. please feel free to contact us if you're interested in building a greener and a more sustainable Singapore together. Thank you.
Next up, we have Jason from Zuno Carbon. Zuno Carbon is a climate tech startup that helps organizations navigate the ESG landscape through an end-to-end solution for carbon management, ESG generation, and decarbonization. Jason, over to you to tell us more.
All right, thank you, Tracy. All right, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Jason, co-founder and managing director of Zuno Carbon. I'm here today to talk about navigating the ESG mess. For companies, big and small, across all industries, the path to sustainability is not easy. Companies run into so many obstacles right at the start of the sustainability journey, ranging from the ever-changing regulations and requirements to the fragmented data with its inconvenient access and formats, not to mention the inconsistent and low quality of data, limiting the visibility into your operations. Now, all these leads to inefficiencies, where companies get stuck in, just trying to figure out what framework to use for the reports, what data do I need, which regulations am I supposed to follow. Now, being stuck in this cycle at the start of the journey leaves no room for real concrete actions like decarbonization. So that's where my company, Zuno Carbon, is here to help companies and organizations like you navigate through this mess. The way we do it, first, using technology, we simplify and automate the data collection and reporting process while using more reliable data and reducing the grunt work. And this is accompanied by our capability to integrate with sensors, IT systems, control networks, BMS, building management systems to collect real-time activity data where you can unlock latent insights into your operations. We believe through collaboration, organizations and their supply chain vendors can take more ownership of their responsibilities, allowing them to make sustainability as part of their operations. Lastly, of course, we have artificial intelligence. So how would you use it? Well, within the platform, we are streamlining the data collection process using OCR. For your invoices, your receipts, your bills, all you have to do is upload it to the platform and we can extract the required information for you. For example, the amount you've purchased from the item description on the invoice and so on and so forth. The next application uses the same item description extracted and it can automatically match an emission factor to it. So this speeds up the entire GHG calculation process. And finally, with generative AI, we're able to enhance the reporting capabilities for your ESG reports. Now, all of this is so that organizations can reach their ESG and net zero targets faster. All of the capabilities I just mentioned they're all packed in our end-to-end ESG management platform, Veritas. So it doesn't matter where you are at your journey, your sustainability journey as a company. This allows you to start as you are, whether it's carbon accounting, ESG reporting, auditability, and as well as decarbonization planning. We've worked with pioneering organizations from MNCs to SMEs across industries to embrace this change. And I invite you to do the same. So whatever your sustainability goals may be, it could be just calculating your GHG inventory or getting ISO verified, or maybe just publishing your first ever ESG report. We want to help you make that process easier. Hence, we are partnering with like-minded organizations to create an ecosystem to get everyone on the same page so that we can save ourselves from the climate crisis in time. So we have advisory, audit services, technology, and of course, accessibility. Speaking of accessibility, with the help of Enterprise Singapore, as well as IMDA, you can get started at $100 a month through their grants and programs designed to get you started. You have full access to the platform. onboarding services and training on the platform as well. And of course, 24/7 technical support. So because we want to be every step of the way of your journey and helping you get there. Again, being sustainable is not a sprint, it's a marathon. It's an ongoing process. So what are you waiting for? It's time to start now. Join us and embark on this journey together to zero and beyond. Thank you very much.
Next up, we have Kang Hui from CRecTech. CRecTech is a clean tech startup revolutionizing the fuel industry through green methanol solutions, harnessing bioresources and CO2 utilization for a sustainable, decarbonized future. Kang Hui, over to you.
Okay, very good everyone. So I'm very happy to share CRecTech, deep tech pioneering startup that actually developed a novel catalytic technology to produce green biomethanol. So CRecTech is actually founded by myself and my co-founder, Dr. Hao, who is the mastermind behind our exciting technology. We are a deep tech startup, spin-off from NUS, and have participated in the flagship graduate research innovation program, Guyot. So climate change has actually spurred efforts for sustainable development, including in the maritime space, where green maritime fuel is one of the key solutions to decarbonizing the maritime sector, which contributes to between 2 to 3% of the global carbon emissions. In the context of Singapore, it has been directed that small service vessels like hovercrafts need to be green from 2030, but greener fuel like biodiesel V100 is more than twice more expensive than the standard marine fuel oil. What choices do ship owners have to go green without hurting their profits or passing the increase in cost to the general consumers like all of us? So methanol has been highlighted as one of the promising alternatives to standard marine oil as a transportation fuel. Methanol production has reached over 100 million tons of annual production and has seen an increase of 18.6% in the past 5 years. 80%. And most of today's methanol production is used for chemicals and olefins production, with only a small fraction actually going to alternative fuel substitutes like dimethyl ether, biodiesel, and gasoline blending. And methanol has an impressive global value of close to $40 billion. While the demand for methanol is increasing, it's expected that up to 1.5 gigatons of CO2 will be released per annum if all the methanol is derived from non-renewable methanol sources, non-renewable fossil fuels. Therefore, there are ongoing efforts to actually develop renewable methanol, either via biomethanol, which is actually made from bioresources, or e-methanol, which is made from captured CO2 and renewable green hydrogen. Renewable methanol has lower CO2, NOx emissions with no dangerous sulfur oxides, which grants a safer transportation fuel. Most of the renewable methanol projects are concentrated in Europe and Asia, but they only contribute to a mere 0.2% of the total methanol supply. Definitely, more can be done if we want to use green methanol as an alternative fuel. What has really made mass production of renewable methanol difficult is because of the cost of production, with e-methanol and biomethanol costing more than twice of today's fossil fuel-based methanol. So we have developed a new catalyst technology in this process by combining renewable biogas and CO2 to get green renewable biomethanol. Biogas is derived from biomass, especially from those second-generation biomass, which are unwanted residuals or byproducts, such as agricultural wastes, food waste, and animal manure. With our catalyst technology, we help to reduce the cost of green methanol production by 70% relative to for e-methanol and 35% relative to biomethanol. Moreover, our process is scalable and our methanol production meets industrial standards. So why we can achieve such a feat is because of our simpler CapEx and OpEx operation, as illustrated by comparing our technology with existing fossil-based methanol production and today's biomethanol production from biogas. In essence, with our catalyst technology, we slash CapEx and OpEx costs by up to 50%. Our customers and partners within our industrial value chain includes the biogas producers, methanol consumers, and biofuel alternatives. We'll be happy to talk to any biogas producers who are looking at other ways for efficient utilization of biogas into high-value products, methanol consumers who have vested interest in green fuels for transportation or heating, and biofuel alternative producers who are looking to expand their product offering with our novel biomethanol production process. Our current partners also includes Gobel, A-Star, and established corporates from the reforming catalyst and the manufacturing industry for process and catalyst validation. We are also fortunate to have been chosen as a finalist in this year's edition of Peer 71 Smart Pot Challenge. Last but not least, we are more than happy to engage new partners to add on to our current list, such as those with existing facilities for pilot testing. We are also looking for co-development opportunities from any supply value chain, from biomass to biogas and methanol end users. We will also invite anyone who are interested in what we do, have a chat with us, and are happy to host. Thank you for your kind attention. I've been looking forward to sharing my sustainable journey, development journey with more like-minded individuals. Thank you.
Up next, we have Joe from 3GNS. 3GNS Technologies uses a low-temperature, liquid-phase electrochemical platform that can deliver green hydrogen from sugar, ethanol, and methanol at costs competitive with gray hydrogen. Joe, the time is yours.
Thank you very much, and thank you everyone for attending. And what I'm here to talk about is a novel low-temperature liquid phase process that was originally developed in the 50s by a gentleman named Dr. Patrick Grimes, who looked at nature and tried to see how can we emulate nature in industrializing the processes that it uses to deal with carbon. And he noticed that the ground state of carbon is not CO2, it is CO3. And using this, he developed this entire platform. It allows us to take any carbonaceous material and in liquid phase, make carbon and make hydrogen and actually have the carbon go to CO3. We're focused in this presentation on green hydrogen. Green hydrogen market was announced to be 20 billion in the EU, 20 billion in the US. You're now seeing numbers that are an order of magnitude higher. The incentives now actually made the US a plausible market. But you're looking at green hydrogen has become electrolytic, and we'll get into the energy problem with that, where it is not getting down to the cost that people need to compete without subsidy. What we're looking at is delivering green hydrogen below $2.50 a kilogram, which makes it competitive with natural gas. This was the US Department of Energy target. They were hoping to get to $1 a kilogram by the end of this decade. Now that's $1 a kilogram production. By the time you store it and move it, you end up at $4 or $5. They're now admitting that that's probably going to be 2, if not higher. The Europeans are looking by 2030 at being at €5, with another €5 on top to move it. So electrolytic green hydrogen is not going to be a solution. This is a summary of the cost breakdown, assuming it was at $1 a kilogram electrolytically. And that you can see by the time you produce, liquefy, store, ship, and move, you're at $9 to $11. And that's liquid hydrogen. If you look at the other alternative methods of moving it, you're still at substantial cost. Every dollar is $42 per barrel of oil. We're looking at delivering below $2.50 from sugar juice, directly producing hydrogen, and below $4 if we're using ethanol at US market prices. We're looking at cane juice initially because it's readily available, but we're looking at agave in the long run because it does not require food land. The technology is not electrolysis. It is the only one that can run on waste heat, so we actually increase the efficiency of the plants that use it. We're storing benign feedstock. We never move or store hydrogen. You basically take your feedstock, water, and some form of energy, either electricity or heat, produce hydrogen and capture the carbon. Now, this capture step is exothermic. It never shows up as CO2. It becomes CO3. That's where 99.9% of all carbon on Earth was put by nature. It came out of the atmosphere and became rocks. We actually get paid by that to capture it, and that helps drive the process. If you look at this in comparison to electrolysis at 1.23 volts being the minimum theoretical, we're at 0.04 on ethanol or methanol, so much lower energy consumption. But we address the entire value chain. If you look at the delivered cost of hydrogen as the previous slide show, you're talking, $4 to $8 would be optimistic. That's green hydrogen. gray hydrogen from steam methane reforming, which had 98% of the market for the last 125 years, can be down as $1 to $2. But again, then you have to capture the carbon, move it, and you're back up to the $6 or $8 cost. We're looking from sugar juice being down $1.70 to $2.10, and on ethanol being up in the range of $3 to $4, which is competitive, particularly in the transport market. The availability here is readily. You're looking at there's basically about 28 million hectares of sugar land developed, and there's only about 20 million being harvested. There's 1.8 billion tons currently available. You can get your hands on 1 million tons with no real problem. You see this for the next several years while we're developing the agave infrastructure. Ethanol is also readily available. We've already produced hydrogen on methanol, ethanol, and cane juice. The nice thing about agave is that it actually grows on semi-arid land that cannot grow food. It doesn't need much water, and it doesn't need fertilizer. We're looking at cane and ethanol as backups for this, but this allows us to develop supply as we meet demand. The first markets we see are really, oddly enough, grid-independent charging stations for electric vehicles and also power plants. And that's what we're looking at developing here as they convert slowly to hydrogen. But a small market called home power units, when I say small, it's in size, but not in the number. Here you're looking at 1 kilowatt units directly in homes, and the value is quite high. It actually increases the value of the house. Our team has something in the range of 200 some odd years of experience in this. We're working currently with A-Star. We were originally brought out by Temasek. We're working in the US with national laboratories and universities as well. And the carbon that we captured actually will be recycled into carbon monoxide originally, but we can recycle it into other molecules that we will get to over time as we develop catalysts. Right now, the focus is on hydrogen and making it cost competitive with fossil energy without the need for subsidy. So with that, I will turn it back over to you. So,
last but not the least, we have Luti from KleenSoil. KleenSoil upcycles inorganic solid waste, organic matter, and lithium batteries using a closed-loop recycling system that recovers more than 95% of non-metals, metals, and heavy metals. Luti, over to you to tell us more.
Yeah, thank you, Tracy. Good afternoon, everyone. So we are CleanSoil Environmental Technologies. What we do is we provide a closed-loop system to our customers to recover heavy metals from the solid waste that will be generating new refined chemicals. And in a result, there will be no more landfill needed and no more subsequent monitoring needed. So heavy metal contamination in solid waste is a global issue, and it troubles a lot of companies in the manufacturing, mining, and solid waste management industries. So to these customers, the pinpoint is that the current technology that they have usually take too long to treat the solid waste. Then it also will produce some secondary pollutions during the treatment process. And usually it's not very environmentally friendly and sustainable. Then the cost of the current practice that they have is usually expensive. And even after the treatment, they may not have enough land to do the landfilling. And they also take many years of leachate monitoring even after they do a landfill. Yeah. So the global market size for solid waste remediation is huge, especially in China, is $25 billion. And it's expected to grow 7.8% CAGR from 2018 to 2024. So looking at the current practice, such as soil dilutions or using strong solvent or chemicals to do the extraction of the heavy metals from the solid waste, usually this practice will accumulate more waste of the treated waste. Then usually the treatment process is a few months or half a year time. And generally it will cause a lot of secondary pollutions and require consistent monitoring. Yeah. So what we offer to our customer is a process that remove heavy metals and upcycle them into fine chemicals. And this process, the technology is actually supported by NPA with a 2.6 million research grant that started 2 years ago. So in this closed loop recycle system, what we have is that there's no emissions, there's no waste, and there's no pollutions that created during the process. And the upcycled material can be used for green energy electrodes, or metal flates, or even pesticide and other precursors for other chemical reactions and products. And the return yield is more than 200%, and we already have filed 3 patents on this. And this technology is also applicable for non-incinerable waste, sewage sludge infiltration ash, infiltration water ash, and fly ash. So we are able to generate profit from waste because not only that we cut down the cost for the landfilling and monitoring, but because also that the material that we are find are refined, they have a commercial values. Yeah, so looking at the average for a 1 ton of waste, we can actually generate about $250 profit from them. And we have done a few pilot tests. So one of the pilot tests is on this sewage sludge infiltration ash. So after 1 single cycle of the treatment, there's less than 5% of the final residue left behind, which can be recycled into the next run or next batch. And during this treatment, there's no wastewater. And we can recover various different chemicals from the waste. Then we also can use this on the black powder, recover cobalt and lithium. Yeah. So we can achieve more than 99% of the recovery rate and with more than 99% of the purity. And this technology can also be used on the wastewater filter kits from the semiconductor industries. So we can recover the coppers from those filter kits, and the recovered copper can be used for copper sheet or used for PCB and other electrodes, etc. So we have in the past 2 years, we have developed this technology and filed 3 patents. Then we have successfully run 4 pilot tests. Then for the next years, we'll be doing 4 projects ongoing, and we'll be forming a joint venture with our China partners. Then in around long term, we'll be targeting other markets like Japan, Australia, Europe, and USA, and target a revenue of $10 million. So this is our team. I will be mainly in charge of the business side. Then Tim will be in charge of the marketing. Dr. Lin will be in charge of the technology. Jialin will be in charge of the China, she will be leading the China team. Then Professor Sam Lee from NUS is our technical advisor. And also we have other advisors from local university as well as overseas university and industries. And we have partnered with local partners as well as overseas partners for our development and pilot tests and ongoing projects. So in summary, our process is able to refine 100% waste into fine chemicals. Then during the treatment process, there's no emission, there's no waste polluted or generated, and there's no pollutions to the environment. Then after the treatment, there's 0 slag and 0 residual that need to be landfilled and need to be monitored anymore. Yeah. So we have already filed 3 patents, 4 pilot tests, and 4 ongoing projects. Yeah. So if you are interested in our technologies, please feel free to contact us. And lastly, thanks SGInnovate to having this opportunity for everyone and connect everyone on this platform. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Great. Thank you so much, Duthi. We have come to the end of today's Sustainability Corporate Startup Pitch event. We'd like to thank all the presenters for your sharing at this event, and also for the audience for joining us and staying all the way to the end. We hope this has been an insightful session for you. Today's poll results will be shared with our startups for them to reach out to you. If you would like to speak with us regarding corporate engagement matters, we have shared our email in the chat. Please feel free to reach out to us over email. We look forward to seeing you again at our next event. Have a great evening, everybody. Goodbye.